Alright, so although I say that let's not do any nice to have things for the game so far, I think that we should probably try to do the shaders for the terrain because because I feel like it's too slow on the startup, and I think that shaders would improve a bit the terrain generation part. And it's gonna allow us to have better materials than the default one. And even though it's not really like we can create a demo with this, even though it looks ugly, I think that that's what I kind of want to do, to try to improve on the shaders part. So yeah, let's actually try to do that. And the other thing is obviously pulling out the code for terrain generation into a plugin. So I mean, this is some part, but like map generation, like this part with discover thing can be put in another place. So terrain, right, this is gonna be the file. So we're gonna have a mod.rs. Usually you would say pub mod here, or like mod terrain, right? Declare it. So let's see, we're gonna need use Bevy prelude all, right? Bevy plugin. Just wanted to see like this kind of, so we'll need like a structure which doesn't really have anything. Maybe terrain, and then we have to impl plugin for the terrain. Maybe call it terrain plugin. Okay, and we need this build function. Right. Let's go back to main and see like what are the main things that we need, right? So probably chunk size and chunk scale, and I'm thinking that this cover size is gonna be like, let's say 4, and we'll keep it 4, but we'll hide the chunks that we don't want to show in kind of the in the client, not in the logic. I think that's gonna be easier to do. Then also bounds interval should also be there, so yeah. And I mean, there are two options, right? Like taking these as consts or having them as parameters for terrain plugin, but I think that for now let's just keep them as consts. Okay, what would be next? I think chunk coordinate. These things, and sure, I mean I'll refactor it later, but for now let's see. So we have, maybe let's say pub or something. I'm not sure yet if you want to have access from the outside to these fields, so let's keep it like this. Okay, we'll need a reference to game states, but not necessarily the game states themselves. And again, like game assets probably is gonna be also some kind of reference. So let's see. This is a game states. Pretty interesting. Like when you do setup. So for the map generation, now this is the important part. Mod. So let's say we're gonna have this function, and this is more or less like height map, right? We pass in an x and a y, and you know, this could be like a method on terrain plugin specifically with these fields, but for now it's fine. It should be private, no question about that. And I think what it should return is not necessarily the new image, because we want to render this thing in a shader, because I feel like this is too slow, to be honest. Doing it like this. I mean, probably we don't want this part. Okay, let's actually see what we don't need when we import everything, because I feel like it's easier to do. We won't need those, we won't need a camera, but we need everything else. Okay, so we get back the noise map, right? So noise map. Oh, just curious. Wanted to see the freaking noise map. This is it. So I think I want to return the noise map, because here it has a vec of f64s, and you know, we can pass that as a texture into a shader, something like that. So that would make sense. And you know, the gradient for the terrain will come up with that. So, but we can maybe just take it, right? Add it as a comment, or something, just to have it. But I think at this point we just want to return the height map itself. I guess that's the thing we need to return. Noise map. So this thing should probably return a noise map, right? I don't think we need these. Probably we need only noise map. Okay. And you know, we'll find our own colors and stuff. Okay, what would come next after this thing is, let's say obviously we kind of need the discover function for certain things. Like, this is gonna be like a helper method in here, also probably like private. Like this one gives us the, let's say, coordinates of new chunks. So if we say we have these chunks already like, you know, visible, then and we are at x and y position, what chunks become visible, right? That's what this function tells us. So, you know, probably this can be called on player movement and so on. Okay. So, let's say that next up, this would be like terrain generation, right? Terrain generation. I'm not sure if I want to split it into like terrain generation and terrain rendering. Maybe just one plugin, it's enough. Now it's gonna be interesting how we are gonna do the generation itself. Like, how are we gonna call to discover and height map? Because, you know, it makes sense to have a setup that's gonna run them once, but afterwards we'll need like a condition to run it. So like, what would that condition be? Let's say well, I guess I guess right now, you know, we don't really have a way to find x and y, but maybe we'll have like a player move thing. Like an event, player moved or some shit, which is gonna, yeah, maybe like an event, right? And that's gonna hold x and y, and, you know, we call that event whenever we move things like building and stuff like that into other chunks. So I guess that should be how it works. Also, it feels a bit scuffed to do that. You're not finding it automatically in a way. It's a bit scuffed. So let's think about it. Like, that's what makes some sense to me, right? To have an event with x and y, and when we trigger that event, we discover new chunks, and yeah, like that event is gonna be triggered each time you build a building or move units, or I guess not necessarily move units, but when units get sent into another chunk or something. So yeah, let's say that makes some sense to use events. So let's see, maybe events. Okay, so this one is the latest. We might need something like this, like an event. We need to make it public. So this event is gonna be discover chunk, or I guess discover chunk event, and it should probably have an IVEC, let's say here, like a pub IVEC2 for the chunk coordinates which are being discovered. Or I guess not even that, it could be a simple vec, like position, and we convert it in here into chunks. Like, yeah, let's keep the chunk logic only in theory. So discover position event, right? It's gonna be just a position, and it's gonna be 2D. Like, we don't really need more, right? At the same time, we could pass in vec3, like vec3d basically, just to not worry about how to send it, but makes sense, vec2, right? This is gonna be the event. Then I am interested in how to register. Oh, like this, add event. So app dot add event, right? And here we need to pass in discover position event. Okay, and at this point we just add stuff onto the app. So okay, I don't think we need to call build, right? Yeah. So this event, yeah, perfect, I think. This event is gonna be called like that. Let's say, no, like it makes sense to have here x and y because it's two iterators and it's easier to reason about that. Hide map again, like this, whatever. Interesting. Chunk coordinate. Chunk coordinate might as well just be an IVEC2, right? Make it even more generic in a way. So this is not really needed. Oh, but I remember it was complaining about what? Oh, okay. Yeah, and we need like maybe a function position to chunk, right? So it's gonna be a position vec2, and this return I vec2. So new, and let's say it's gonna be position dot x, and let's divide it. Right, we have to divide it by chunk size. Chunk size. We already have chunk size made as, and this is f32 as I32, right? That's how I think we can get the position to chunk. Okay, like, sure, here we added the discover position event, but we also need to add the method that runs the event, right? So we'll need an event reader like this. So we are gonna have discover position events, discover position, yeah, let's say like that, event whatever event reader of discover position event, and in here we need to interesting call to read. I remember, you know, back in 0.12 when you had some other shit like yeah. So here we have the vec2, like the position. So obviously what we need to do is to convert the position to chunk, right? Then do discover, and yeah, maybe we need another smaller function that does this entire thing. And here is gonna come the question, right? Because we are no longer doing the image. I like to do that image from a shader. Right, so function spawn chunk, spawn chunks maybe. Oh, and what's interesting is we might need a query to chunk coordinate with chunk. So I'd say it's also mutable, which is let's just say not ideal. So we can have a query for chunk coordinates. So chunk coordinates, or is it like chords, right? Chunk chords is gonna be query, and I want, well, it's not mutable. I am tweaking about that. Yeah, it's fine. So chunk coordinates, we need like a reference here, and it's gonna be with chunk. Sounds good to me. So at this point we would need the vex from chunk coordinates to be able to generate the required positions, and then obviously spawn the chunks. So what I'm curious is, we can actually do something better, I guess, in my opinion. That is, have a bit more functional programming style. So it's gonna be a flat map event. Alright, so in the event we get the position, so we can do event position to chunk, and we pass in 0, right? We pass in the vec tool. So if I mean, it's a flat map, it's a map, it's whatever. So now we can actually call to discover. Thing is, I think I want to do a fold, just because like if we get multiple events in the same frame and they overlap, it's easier to I mean, it's the same shit, so we can just flat map, right? And we have to pass in the position x and y that we just computed, and the chunks that we have as arguments. So chunk coordinates, let's say chunk coords is gonna be query well, I would say iterator dot map, and in here we have the whatever, like chunks, and we take this thing. But yeah, the thing is we have to collect it. So here we get an IVEC, so again could be called like chunk coordinate. Let's call it position, or whatever. And here we have to flat map with discover. So discover px, py, and chunk course. Oh, I guess and this would be let discover chunks here we would need to set this thing and then do some other stuff. So discover just gives us what to discover. It's not it's like this part. So we have a vec of IVEC. So we would need to do all of this stuff. Just thinking that what? What do you mean? I mean, I want to collect it into okay. And here it probably complains that this needs to be a reference, right? Oh, reference. Fair enough. So this should be still a vec of chunks that we need to discover. I mean, it's not, it's still an iterator, but you get the point. So, yeah, this thing would be interesting. I don't remember where I needed points in this thing, so I needed to zip it when I was creating the chunk. Well, that's kind of interesting. So let's say, I mean, would it make more sense to have one component for each thing, or to have a single component with the chunk coordinates, chunk data? That's what I'm not sure about. I mean, you know, we can derive component for a structure chunk data, and I guess this should have a noise data inside, or what's it called, noise map, right? Like that's how I see it working with the noise map. Now it's vec of S64 and the size. Yeah, I mean, for the shader it's not ideal. I don't know how to send a 1D texture, to be honest, but I think should be possible, like web GSL texture 1D, like does that make sense? Is it texture 1D? It looks like it is some. It's bad on docs, I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, whatever, we'll figure it out. I guess like if we have access to a 1D texture, that's gonna be easier. Like it's gonna make more sense. So discover chunks, right? We'll need to use these discover chunks to generate height maps, but also the chunk coordinates for the new chunks. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe we want to keep it all in one single component, but I don't know how the convention is. Like, is it better to have multiple components or one in Bevy? I mean, obviously the Reddit answer is the good one. Probably this wasn't really a question, like that I was, you know, maybe. Yeah, whatever. Maybe this is a question for ChatGPT actually. But let's keep it like this: chunk data, chunk code. You know, like it feels like these could be fields, the coordinate field the data field. Maybe chunk height map or noise map. Right. So it's also the thing that noise map kind of weird with size. It's use size and map is f64, but whatever. Wait, it's a vec? Yeah, it's a vec. Okay. So the next thing, let's actually do some progress actually, right? So let's add, wait, see, like here it doesn't really say how to add this as a system, but probably it's the same, like add systems, and we can do update and discover position. What I don't like about LSP is it does that. Okay, so we'll have this discover position in update. Now we usually have that run if in play, but I don't think it matters that much. If we only send events when we are in play, then this won't be triggered. So it's fine to call it in update, I think. Maybe if I can figure out a way to pass in like playing state or something, but I don't know what type it should have. And then I can use here playing state. But if I have to import from the main crate, it's a bit scuffy to me. So now we call it, right? So what do we have to do is actually call to height map for the discovered chunks. So let's say we want to build that huge ass yeah, you know, like it starts to make some sense to actually have, well, the other thing that we need here is commands to be able to spawn stuff. Right. Be able to spawn stuff. And I think that's it. So we'll probably have a discover chunks dot for each, because it's gonna be, if we take a look here, it's a for each, right? So we're gonna have for each, I think we get back vex, so for each point, right? What we need to do is let noise is equal to height map of px py, so this gives us noise map, right? Okay, the next thing, I mean, we have the position, so that's easy, and I guess we need to just spawn the entire thing. So let's see, let's just try to spawn this. So this is gonna be, we're not gonna do mesh or materials, right? We'll have to think about it. Like, sure, for now, just to prove that it still works, I guess we can maybe try to add these things. I mean, let's still add them, why not? So we'll need to do these images and shit, so oh, and also mute images. Okay, I mean, let's try to do it, but here, so that we can delete it, right? Let's try to refactor it in that way. So you know, the classic chunk size material, and this is gonna be point for the transform. So obviously we just add those. We need to add chunk chord and chunk noise map, so we also need in here chunk chord of P and chunk noise map, and we pass in the noise, right? So like this. And now we just need to create a material, and the material that we are gonna use is gonna be from a shader, but for now we can actually just take it from here. So this should give us the material, but we need a handler. So let material is equal to, right? This should give us the material, and the handler is gonna be images add image. So let handler is gonna be images add like image, right? So we need the image. Now we need the image. Where's that? I guess it's somewhere here, right? Okay. So we just still upload this shit, and we have image is equal to let image. Oh, okay, so this is the noise. Let's say that we add back these things just for the moment. We'll do all of this in a shader or something, and I don't know what that thing is about. Chunk noise map. Interesting, because I specifically build it. That's strange. Anyway, let's not worry about it. Maybe we don't use it or something. So now in main, let's see, map generation is no longer needed, right? Discover is no longer needed. Doing all of this is not needed. All of that is not needed. And I guess these things are not needed. The noise part, neither that. So now we have all of this. So if we try to run this thing now, we shouldn't see any terrain or anything. Like, it should still compile. Let's make sure that it compiles, and we have the gizmos for the cursor. But we want to use the terrain module, so can we do use terrain plugin? Terrain plugin, right? So let's add plugins, terrain plugin. This is gonna add the terrain plugin. All right, so And in update we can say something like send position. I'm curious what's gonna happen if we try that. So we have public terrain and discover position event, so that's what we want to send. I guess it's a good test, so send current position, and we know we have this. So like send current position. This like I guess that the main script here is just like testing purposes, more or less. So oh, nice. Discover position event. Did it? Yeah, it imported it. So discover position, and let's just send 0 0, right? So we are gonna do on each frame, because yeah, we can test it. We can say vec to default, right? Like this is gonna be 0 0. So this is gonna send an event each frame, but the way we handle it in terrain is that we should only spawn stuff, right? We should only spawn stuff once, even though we are gonna get called each time. So maybe calling this for, I mean, it's fine. Should work in my opinion. The same as before. Watch everything explode or something. Like doing okay, so it's stuck, I guess. Let's add some debugs. So println, let's do the classical discover chunks. Oh, shit, dead, come on, man. I mean, usually I put debug on everything, but yeah, so we can show discover chunks. Is there anything that's maybe remotely useful? Like, sending the thing, but that just happens. That just happens. Right, so I guess the camera and everything was spawned correctly, but for some reason it was blocked. Like println sending 0 position. Like my fear is that it sends a lot of events and it doesn't have time to spawn the chunks, so it's like maybe we just have to spawn chunks first. Right, maybe we just have to spawn, yeah. Like why does wait what? Wait, this is strange. Wait, where did I use this thing? I used it there. Huh. So it said only once this. Right. Oh, I guess in this case it's empty or something, right? I see that there was 0 and shit. And a red one. I mean, I don't like this. Let's do dot collect. Right. And I mean it's a collect for vec. Just to be able to see something. Oh, where's dumbass bitch? So clone. Cloned? Bruh, like, come on. Just want to print it. Alright. What the trash language then? So let me just do something like this. You know, and then say something like let is equal dot iterator, right? Bruh. Okay. I mean, yeah, sure, into iterator. Let's consume it again. Why not? Okay, yeah, now it's fine, So, because I'm curious, we need to see like an empty list, so nothing happens in the normal update, right? Like there's nothing, but now we have a list of a lot of points. Oh, it's 4x4, maybe that's why it's slow. Let's do again 2x2. Right, because this is the thing that I'm worried about. It's really slow and it's even 2x2. So maybe by running it from a shader it's gonna be better. Oh no. See, like it's redoing it, why? Oh, I forgot to add chunk. See, that's why I said that I'm not sure if I want to have only one or multiple components there. I mean, since it's a private module, I don't think it matters. So, yeah, as you can see, it's quite slow, right? Now it's fine. But I mean, the generation could be improved in multiple ways. Like, for example, one thing that I'm thinking about is if we don't generate the mesh and everything, it should be much faster, in my opinion, I think. And like this map generation just generates the noise. Let's see how fast that would be. So that means we do not do anything related to image, right? And here we just say standard material. I don't know how to say, like default. Right, let's just do default material. And let's see how fast this one is. Right, because even if we just do images, so maybe the noise function is slow, but it's not incredibly bad, right? So yeah, and obviously the other option that I can think of is, you know, creating the chunk coordinates, creating the chunk, and adding the noise in a separate system. But I don't know how it would make sense to run it in parallel, like adding the chunk noise map. So we would have a query that's something like, well, if you don't, like if you have chunk coordinate but you don't have chunk noise map, then you initialize it. And this is where having multiple components is better, I guess, right? So that's maybe one way to do that. So like discover position would be like this. Let's say, let's go back to main. We've seen that this thing seems to work, right? This thing seems to be working. Also, this part seems to be working. And like a really small improvement that I can think of, as I said, is removing this from here, removing the noise, right? The noise generation aspect. This just generates the chunk coordinate, so this should be incredibly fast, like instant. Doesn't even, you don't even catch that it's running, right? It's instant, but we don't have the noise. So let's try to do that. So insert noise data or some shit. So let's see what we actually, what do you think we need in this one? So obviously we need the chunks, right? So this would be chunks. I'm stupid, it's here. So this is chunks, and we want to find chunk coordinate. I need to find entities that have chunk but do not have without chunk noise map, right? And I mean, even with one component this can make sense. You check if it's, we make it optional, and you check if it's none, and if it's none you create it. But I like this one more, to be honest. I think, what the fuck do you want, dude? Oh, the trait entity is not satisfied. What the fuck do you mean, bitch? I mean, come on, dude, come on. Is it like entity like this? Yep. Query chunk entities, right? So we want the entities so that we can insert chunk noise map. Now I deleted the stuff that was important. Let me just, so we need, you know, this thing. Oh, and yeah, obviously it makes sense. Maybe we want, you know what? What's a bit annoying is that I wish it was possible for this system to run only on one chunk and run it multiple times rather than doing a for loop. So is that something like, I remember vaguely that that was something that you can do in a weird way, but I don't remember exactly how it was done. So it's pretty strange. Like we can do something like first, right? Q chunk entities. Bro, like pretty sure it was something, but I don't remember what exactly. So iterator dot first. Like I'm pretty sure we can still do use next and do only one chunk at a time, or at least like does Bevy multi-thread. Bevy multi-thread. Okay, exclusive systems. Like what if I have a query, right, and I want to run each whatever. I was thinking, what if I want each element from the query to be executed in parallel, but doesn't matter. So for entity and chunk, let's say entity and chunk in like iterator. Oh, it's iterator combinations. That's good to keep in mind. Maybe it's gonna be useful sometime. Right, we have the chunk and the entity. So we can say C0, C0. Oh, chunk. Chunk. This gives us the noise. Okay. And the last thing is to say entity insert, right? But I cannot do insert. Bevy insert component on entity. Commands entities. Okay, so I need commands. Sure. So commands, and we say entity dot insert chunk noise map. No, yeah, I was like hoping that maybe we'll get that done easier, but it is what it is. So, but maybe it's better to split the implementation like this. Maybe this is gonna be parallelized somehow, but I mean even this could have been parallelized, so but maybe this is gonna be easier to do. Okay, so let's try again. Let's see. There's like a lazy initialization, so I mean it's still stuck. No, that's the main reason I was hoping is it's not gonna be stuck. Like it's not gonna block the main thread, which it does. Bevy non-blocking systems. Like I want to have a like some kind of, you know, gen task, right? So you have like a task, but I don't even care when it's completed. You know, that's the point. Or something. Will spawn. Okay. And this is really old, so I'm not sure. Okay, let's try to find newer information about that. So Bevy async pool or async task, right? Because I have like really computationally intensive, let's call it task, and I would like to task it basically. So thread pool, do whatever. There's like sleeps, I guess, or something. Yeah. The system generates tasks. I mean, we still need a handle task. Right? That's kind of needed. It's kind of needed. So maybe this function, this system can spawn a task for that. Let's say, so this is a thread pool spawn. This spawns the task. And at the end, I guess it just returns some shit. But I mean, here now you can insert stuff like that in the world entity. I mean, I need to figure out a way of how to read this. Like, do I want to do that here or here? I guess it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So I create a thread pool, and then we can spawn a thread, right, which is gonna do some stuff, which is blocking, for example, and here we do command Q push, function 1, back to the applied. I'm not sure what world does. World, and here it does something, and command Q, and then in handle task commands append. That's interesting. Okay, so we can try to do this stuff. Okay. Because pretty much this is what we want, right? So let's do it here because it's gonna be like a shorter function. Okay, so we need this guy. Like, see, in this new version is no longer like a resource, I guess, or something, I don't know. Okay, let's create a new task. Let's create a new task in here, and we have a nothing move, right? So this is gonna be our task. Perfect. And inside of this task we have to create like the noise. This is the computation intensive part, creating the noise map. And then I see that we create such hard work, all done. We create a command queue. Very interesting approach. Command queue, right? And then in the command queue, I think this is like a command, right, that you can use to spawn, and probably world is something from Bevy. Let's see if that's correct. So yeah, it looks like we have a command now, and in this command we can do all sorts of shit. So for example, we can do entity, which we had here, and add the stuff that we needed. So I mean, it's what you think, small brained. So entity mute or whatever we insert. Ah, so it was a new entity. Oh shit. It was like a new entity. That's interesting. Okay, let's see. So what? Oh, I have to call world, right? And entity mute. Okay, yeah, so that doesn't live long enough. Oh shit. So it's like this entity. So this thing is created here, so this adds it. I'm not sure how it lives long enough then, that entity. Maybe because it's a nothing move. Okay. I mean, that doesn't matter, right? So chunk coordinate. Let's actually maybe see the error from cargo build. Maybe it's gonna look better. So, oh my fucking god. Jesus Christ, so many errors. Okay, anyway, so we have borrow value does not live long enough, or some shit, rust crap. Because yeah, I mean the first, like, it has this lifetime or something, and static Qchunk, but I don't even use Qchunk entities in that. That's the thing. that I'm really curious about. Like, sure, I used, oh, because I used chunk. I see, so it wants maybe something like position is equal to chunk.0, and then it wants me to use position here, right? Position. That's the main issue, or is it? Yeah. Pretty weird, right? I mean, probably I could have fixed that by using intuiter. Not really, because this is still a reference. Okay. Yeah, it was basically complaining because I was moving chunk into this and it cannot own it or something. Okay, so next thing is to actually, let's see, insert the task, right? And this is like compute transform. We need another, wait, this is also removing, I forgot about it. So we insert and we remove the compute transform, but instead of compute transform, let's say derive component struct compute noise map. Does it need any, like, what does it need? It needs a task command queue. Okay, pretty decent. Okay, and we import Bevy tasks. Yeah, I remember that tasks were a bit more tricky in the past, so that's, it feels a bit better now, but I still don't like the polling thing. It's, but it's better. Okay, and come on, I just copy pasted the example. What do you mean? Oh, I forgot to return the return command queue. Perfect. So this is like spawn noise data task, right? Spawn noise data task. Okay, and I guess that's good. Spawn data task, and now we need to handle the task. So something like this, handle tasks. And let's call it handle noise data task. I mean tasks, right? Handle noise data tasks. I think that's good. So then we need compute noise map, right? Noise map tasks, something like that. Block on, whatever, block on from task. And future. Oh, this is interesting. Future, where is from? Futures light. Okay, so you are telling me that this is no longer gonna block, right? Let's see. But you know, it would have been better. Yeah, it's no longer blocks. Interesting. Command Q has unapplied commands being dropped. Okay, let's see again. Like, what can that mean? Yeah, set up the shit, okay, not important to us. This is not important. Okay, let's see what can go wrong in this. Why do we get a warning? So, spawn noise data tasks, right? We created a pool. It's the same thing as here. Then we already have an entity. We don't need to create one. I think that's fine. Then we spawn a task, right? We do the computation. It's basically this. And whatever transform, it does some stupid shit. Then it's command Q. Let mutable command Q is default. Then we push something, move world, right? We move world. I guess, you know, we move entity and noise into this closure. So we do world entity mute, yeah, and we can insert stuff. So we insert noise, chunk noise map, right, instead of whatever shit that is, and we remove compute noise map, return, and commands entity insert. We insert computer. To me this thing looks good, to be honest. So then in handle tasks we just have the mutable commands, the noise map tasks, query, whatever, iterate them, fair enough. I mean, no, why not just use iter mute? And do you even need to say that it's mutable? Yeah, what the fuck? Okay. I guess, yeah, you have to say. But, oh, poll once. Yeah, sure, whatever. Mutable commands Q and then commands append. This system. Append returned command Q to have it execute later. It's interesting. I mean, is there an issue? Not really, I don't think so. Can we show the length of this? Println. Oh, wait. I guess the issue is, check this out. This is gonna spawn when we don't have chunk noise map. So we want to find chunks that don't have either chunk noise map nor the compute noise map. Or I guess maybe better would be to say, yeah, right, which don't have neither, right? Or how the fuck do I say that without this thing? Should work, right? So we want the chunks that have chunk obviously, but they don't have neither chunk noise map nor compute noise map, because if they have chunk noise map, we inserted that, and if they have compute noise map, we inserted that, right? And it waits to get the brand new chunk noise. So let's see again. Okay, I mean, now it looks better. We don't have those warnings, but you know what? There's always a but, right? Because I would still like, damn it, to change the material. So here we add a default material. That's pretty neat. But how about doing the image again? Then we do the image again, man. Come on. Okay, let's undo in the main, because in main we had you know what I mean, I had creating the image. I guess it doesn't really help, unless I steal this thing. Like, this is what I need. Let's go back to our module, and in here let's format this bitch. So here is the noise, right? I mean, that's what you think. Let image is equal to, right? Let image is equal to, so I have the image. Now I'm thinking, would it be possible to take the material? I guess if you insert a new material, it's gonna override the old one, so that's also, oops, material mesh bundle. Let's try. Actually, I mean, let's try to just, you know, insert this like this. Let's see how I can do that. I mean, I have the position, I have everything, so inserting this thing won't be that annoying, honestly, I think. Something like this, maybe. Sure, we need like meshes, images, all of that shit, so let's add it. Right, now we need, wait, where is the point? Oh, I called it position, let's call it point. Right, so at least this thing works. Now we need to create a material. Right, so the material. So let image is gonna be images.add image. Then let, this is like handler, I guess, handler, and then material standard material how do I make it? From handler. Ooh, shit. Okay, and how do you suggest to do this shit then? Stupid asshole. And it's a bit tricky. So maybe we want to do that somewhere here. Shit, dude. Like, how can you? This. Like, how can we prove that this shit works, right? That's the thing. Sucks. Let's go back to the original version, this one, so like send current position and shit. Yeah, this would be interesting to solve. Like, how can we use these things in here? Like, fair enough, this means that we can have race conditions and stuff like that, but like generating the image makes sense. Generating the image, right? Okay, so then, because we don't really need that, how about just having a component for now for the image? So chunk noise map image is gonna be like temporary, and we put in an image, and instead of doing all of this shit, which we're gonna do later, we insert chunk noise map image tmp image. Why not, right? Why the fuck not? And like, now we can have function handle image tmp. We need like the commands, obviously. We need meshes, materials, images, and we need this thing to be destroyed. Okay, and we need a query. Right, we need a query for chunk coordinate with chunk and maybe with image tmp thing, right? Well, this is gonna be actually in the list of what we use, so that's that, I guess. Right, so what do we need to do? We need to do a for chunk in q chunk entities dot iter. Now obviously we don't need entity, we need entity though, right? So we can have entity chord image, right? Something like that. I said chunk. whatever, doesn't matter, we'll delete this function once we get the shaders going. So alright, so what we have to do here is commands dot entity we want to insert stuff, some stuff. Okay, so then let point is equal chunk dot 0, and then let handler is images dot add image 0, and let material is materials dot standard material from handler. Right, so I mean this is, oh, wow, that was so dumb, really did. And this is an image, image dot 0. No, I won't consider borrowing. Let's clone that bitch. Okay, so I think this should override the material. I mean, it's gonna be blocking because not really. I don't think it's gonna block. Like, it shouldn't block anything, to be honest. Maybe just when it's assigning the shit, but let's see. Like, I guess it's gonna be like white stuff until it loads in. But yeah, right? Like, it's really laggy for some reason. So I'm curious. Maybe we do something stupid with this. So it's like with chunk. Oh, I forgot to actually remove this, right? Dot remove, and we need to remove the thing because otherwise it's gonna keep assigning this, and it's, oh come on dude, please, it's generic, the fish operator. What a huge fish. Well, right, is the anyway, doesn't matter. So this should remove some of the lag. I mean, you know, this is a good reason of why we don't even need shaders, because it's okay. And let's try to make it really big now, and you know, like compare where we are now versus where we were in the beginning, where this won't even generate. So big brain, come on. I mean, it's still blocking in the beginning, but right, I have a huge map now. Although it's still blocking, and I don't know why. Yeah, I'm not sure where it blocks, to be honest. I'm not completely sure where it blocks, so let's do something like console log, Jesus, println, and let's show the p here. Was this is the position? I think so. Okay, let's see. So this is when we spawn the chunks, right? So it spawned them, but it's blocked for some reason, right? It it spawned them, but it's blocked. So let's see how can that happen. Because we make this, we run it in parallel. So here we say something like println spawning task for point, right? Spawning task for point. This can be, where is it? Received discover point this. I mean, you know, is like discover position, but discover this this chunk, let's say. Better spawning task for this chunk. Then this is gonna be called each time, so compute noise map. I mean, since we remove it, println polling task. I don't fucking know what this gonna show, but let's just show it nonetheless. Oh, compute noise map. Okay, compute noise map 0. Whatever. Don't care. Don't. And in this one maybe print like spawning the temp image or whatever for, and give the chunk right. Okay, let's see what this thing shows now. Pretty weird, to be honest. I mean, it's nothing spamming anymore, so I would say that probably is done. Right. Let's remove the polling thing. Like, everything stops after a while, so that's good. But I'm curious why it's a black screen at first. Spawning tasks, and then spawning the TMP image, right? I mean, it's makes sense. Spawning the TMP image. But why is it a black screen at first? Because we still spawn the image, right? What if we don't spawn the task nor do this? This won't be even called, I would say, because it cannot go there. But like this shouldn't, see, like it doesn't do a black screen for too long. Let's try to do this one, only this one, like handle. Should handle do anything? Special, that doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Okay. How about just spawning the task? Again, without actually executing anything, right? Like, I'm wondering how does just spawning that task blocks everything. Right, like that's because yeah, I mean the spawning and stuff seems to be working fine. So right, but I'm not sure why it's blocked on that. Obviously, if we don't do the image and stuff, maybe it's gonna be faster. Like if we don't, if we delete this and this, should probably be a bit faster, right? Or what? And it's still blocking. Yeah, it's weird why it's still blocking. Let's do 3 by 3. I mean 3 in the radius. Does it have to do with the number of cores or anything? Shouldn't. Yeah, it's really weird. No, we'll do the adding debugging later, but for now, yeah, I think this makes sense. I don't think I have time for shaders for today, but I mean, this is an upgrade compared to the last time, so better, like faster map generation, right? With a nice plugin, discover the position and shit. So we have like a event that we can trigger anywhere on the map, and it's gonna discover like random stuff, random locations. I mean, we can do one thing, and like if you click somewhere, it triggers discover there. We can do that just to play a bit around with this new system and see, maybe see if it's blocking that way. So main, right? So draw cursor, click, I mean send current position. Let me just say something like mouse button input. So Bevy mouse button input was something like this, right? Input handling. But this is the old one, so don't know if it works. I mean, the example is the best one, so mouse button input, that's that. Let's add it here, right? And if we just pressed left, oh, we have this info and shit. Okay, that's perfect, because I want to do some debug printing. Okay, we send position, but we want to send the position of the cursor. So let's actually put it in draw cursor. Let's remove our crap and let's bring this down here. But for that we also need to add all of this crap, and that's that, I would say. Right, so if we click, we send point. So point. Now point is a vector, so we want xz. So now instead of spawning it on start, we spawn it when we click. So let's see. Alright, so we click, it spawns it. We click here, holy shit, I mean, this is amazing. Right, I mean, come on. If this is not cool, then I don't know what's cool. Right, so you can even see the number of threads, I guess. Like if I add a lot of them, you can only see like some of them are working, like probably like 16 threads, right? How much I have. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool terrain generation logic, right? Which is not blocking. I mean, you know, it's not ideal to, let's say we spawn somewhere here. We would like to generate in a circle from the start. Like we would want an ordering for how we solve the terrain generation. But I mean, it's still good, right? And the thing is, yeah, pretty cool, not gonna lie. The only thing left would be to add some debug logic. So what can we do here that's interesting? I'd say like discover position. Yeah, I was gonna call to this, but we don't have access to it, so position to chunk. I mean, I can do the debug print in discover. I could do the debug print in discover. Yeah, you know, I'm not really sure what I want to debug print. So debug. Triggered discover for new chunk, and here we can pass in p. Whoa, triggered discover, right? That would be nice to see. Then inside of spawn whatever, spawn noise data tasks, we can say something like debug creating task for yes, I don't know, it's like for terrain generation, creating terrain generation task for chunk, and here we pass in point. Right, so this is gonna debug the task. Right, and here we had triggering of that. I think this should probably do it. Another one, but you know, I don't know if I want to show it here. Maybe debug task complete, but I don't really have any interesting information like terrain generation task complete. Right, we don't really have that much information here. Like, sure, command Q, fair enough. You know, we could add more information. Generation task complete. Yeah, we could add more information. Like, sure, another one would be to print this afterwards and show something like, I don't know, task ID. Is that a thing? Task ID or some shit? Task.id. I don't know what could be useful on the task, because we could say something like creating terrain generation task for chunk with ID, and we have the ID of the task, and here we print task generation complete and the ID, right? So not sure if we have anything useful, but let's print creating task generation task, and we can have the task here, and let's see if we have any useful information on the task. I mean, I should have just checked with the LSP, but I'm a debug printing kind of dude, so wait, what? I guess I have to set the printing to debug, right? Bevy show debug messages. The fuck is trace? Very verbose. Okay, and I mean, let's do info. Let's do info instead of debug. So let's replace that with info, because why not? Show like info. Sure, is more of a debug, but too lazy to actually change it. So, you know, task generation complete and whatnot. Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. So we have not sure if we have something like an task ID. Let's check it. I mean, it looks like it's a wrapper around the async executor, and it says like pointer phantom tags, and yeah, I don't know. Like, if you can have some kind of identifier for a task. Yeah, whatever. So I don't know. Let's see. So okay, generation task for chunk. You know, maybe I'll spend more time on logging myself, but yeah, let's do back debug. So this guy is telling us that to use, it's outdated, but we can set the load plugin. So if we go in main, right, and we search for default plugins, we can actually do set load plugin, and let's say the fuck, maybe one more parenthesis. I mean, you know, if the convention is to say like, I mean, if the example does it like this, I'll do it like that. So default, right, and we can say this kind of level. Now let's do debug. Sure, I'm curious how many debug statements we are gonna see, because pretty sure Bevy debugs a lot of stuff. So yeah, okay, so we add that. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, I mean, I was curious, what if I click, right, and it's like it's already there, it's not gonna do anything, right? That's pretty neat. Yeah, funny. So, you know, things look decent, but don't really have time for shaders. But I feel like it's still good progress, because now we are not gonna get blocked by generating terrain. It's gonna just generate, and you know, we just wait for it to be available in a way. Now, sure, like these tasks are queued already, but are not gonna be executed. So maybe some kind of scheduler, or I guess some kind of sorting for the tasks might be good. Don't even know what that sorting would be though. So yeah, like maybe distance from center, but I don't know. Oh yeah, and one interesting thing, I don't know, like maybe it's because of how the map was done, but by the original creator, right? Now this thing, like, it's funny. I mean, it looks like Italy, but it should be longer. And Greece, yeah, I don't know. And maybe Spain, but with without the S. I think it looks like Spain without the S. Yeah, but even the mountains, been pretty close to Europe in a weird way. Anyway, so I think, yeah, for now I think it's good progress, and probably we'll try to do shaders next time. Maybe I'll have more time to learn a bit about shaders, but I think this was actually good progress, right, with the new way of doing the terrain generation. I have to think about it. Maybe there's even more improvements that we can do. But yeah, like spawning the tasks, for some reason it was blocking in the beginning, but when we switched to clicking, it was okay-ish. So like the way you handle the tasks might be important, but thing is we don't really have a, I mean, here we get the, where is it? We get the async compute tasks pool. So basically this gives us the kind of default one. Right, so question is, can we have it somehow changed in a way to be able to solve the noise data in a circle around the player. Alright, so spawn noise data tasks, handle noise data. I mean, the only thing left was like what, renaming this to noise map, right? Spawn noise map and handle noise map. So we have the event, we can discover the position, and that should start some tasks, right? Because discover position, what it does is iterates over all the chunks that we need to generate. It gets them, discover chunks, and then we spawn a chunk with chunk coordinate, and then we search in this thing, in spawn, we search for chunks that don't have either the compute, like the task assigned to them, or the chunk noise map. So if they don't have neither of these two things, then we start an async task that is gonna do the noise. So it does hide map. So I mean, maybe it's better to call it noise map, but let's see, noise map, right? Noise map. Right, so we call noise map, we get the noise, and then we create a command queue which updates our entity. It basically adds the noise and it removes the noise map. For now we just do like spawn temporary image on it just to be able to see when it's done, but like this is gonna be replaced by the shader, in my opinion. Like sure, it's fine, like for the demo I think it's fine. I'm still a bit bothered that we have a plan and the first thing that we do is deviate from the plan, but that's what plans are for basically. So because if we use a shader, it's gonna be easier later on to add water animations, and I think that's that. Maybe grass animation. But yeah, I think maybe it makes sense to keep it like this until we add resources and buildings, and do shaders afterwards. I mean, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I'm more curious rather than actually wanting to. Like, I'm curious how the shaders will behave on this kind of map. Like, will it be? I mean, I guess more efficient doesn't really make sense because I guess like I mean, maybe a tiny bit more efficient because here in the task, where is it? Where is the task? In the task we generate the image, so this is gonna be a bit slow, but if we do it in a shader, it's gonna be computed. Basically, you can imagine that it's on a different thread, so it's no longer in here. We get rid of this. But no, the other point that I can make is that we do this once, but for the shader we might do it multiple times, especially if we have like water and stuff. But I mean, it would be worth it in the long run to switch to shader based for terrain, for displaying the terrain. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Probably we'll try to do that. But yeah, hopefully let's see if we can finish like in, let's give like a deadline of 10 days in total. So this is like the second one for finishing the demo, right? Like being able to add buildings, seeing resources, maybe some UI for displaying the amount of resources, but it's gonna be really basic, right? And that should be it. And maybe a couple of buildings like town hall, outpost, and mining buildings, right? Like lumber mill and mining for stones. So there's gonna be like 4 buildings, right? Sure, like the graphics are gonna be cubes, but that's another story. So hopefully this was useful. I mean, for me it really was. Like I learned quite a lot from this because, yeah, you know, discovered it today, like this idea of how to queue up workers for doing the map generation. So I think it's pretty useful to know how to do that. Like imagine how slow it was initially, like before we did this, versus how fast it is now. I mean, you know, still a bit slow, but probably could be done better, right? Like probably the image part is what's limiting. I mean, I don't know, maybe just the noise generation is really slow, and I'm also using 124 by 124, so it's pretty huge noise, right? Like what if we try only 8 as the scale? So that would be what, 128 or 255, I don't remember. Like it's math, they're pretty instant, right? Like if you decrease the graphics settings, basically this is what this is, and I mean it still looks pretty good, honestly. Okay, so I mean maybe we want to go with less pixels because it still looks decent. I mean, you know, the maximum zoom level is gonna be like this, so what's the point of going 124 pixels per chunk? It's still looking good, and it's quite fast now, right? So maybe we'll keep it like this. So yeah, like imagine like how slow, because it sure is would have been really slow in the beginning, but yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I mean if we take a look from above, the terrain looks kind of meh. So hopefully we'll find a way to improve it a bit. I mean, you know, from the tutorial of the creator of the noise plugin, or I guess crate. So yeah, I mean it has too much water, I'm thinking. Probably too many mountains as well. But you know, instead of mountains we'll have like big rocks that you can mine stuff. So probably we'll change the thresholds. But yeah, since like the zoom level is gonna be something like this, I don't know, it's gonna be fine. Maybe something like this, right? It's gonna be fine. Like it's gonna be really hard to go to explore this kind of map. but you know, maybe you will allow you to zoom out, and once you zoom out you go into minimap view, right, somehow, so that you can see like your buildings are no longer gonna be like cubes and stuff. It's gonna be like in a 2D view, so you can actually see, because like with this zoom level, sure, it's possible to view your buildings and stuff, but once you go like this you cannot see anything. So maybe, yeah, but I guess that's all for today, and next time we'll try to get into shaders maybe. So yeah, we have to also keep in mind that we have to finish buildings, like the basic version of buildings and resources, I guess end of month is 10 days. So let's see if we are gonna be able to do that. So see you in the next one.